I have a really good box.
Congratulations, Christian. And yes, I do have to use sound bits because you are not here in the studio. I'm looking around. I don't see... Christian, where are you? Where are you, Christian? I can't see you. I see a lifeless husk of a Sasquatch costume. I see a soundboard.
I want him to think about my raw meat. A black. Someone's got to do it. I have a really good
Bad
box.
science. I am wrong.
But I don't see you. And you know why? Because you texted me 10 minutes ago saying you're on your way. When I text you at 8:30 in the morning saying, hey, we're good for 10. And you said, well, it might be closer to 10:30. I'm like, what are you, laying in bed for 2 hours? And then you're going to roll out of bed all lackadaisical and you're going to come down here and we're going to record a podcast? No. And I knew I should have reminded him again an hour later, but I did not. Because I was like, no, he's a professional. He'll be here on time. And he was not. So here I am alone in the studio recording this because my wife has to have nails done in 2 hours and we have to record 2 episodes. And there's not enough time to do that if I just wait for Christian to willy-nilly show up and record the episode. So here I am alone, and we're going to get started without Christian, and we're going to talk about ghosts, and ghosts are real, and that's fine. There's something undeniably strange about secondhand things, an energy that clings, whispers that trail behind lace curtains, and cold spots that aren't tied to faulty vents. You think you're getting a good deal? A vintage photo, an antique shawl, a porcelain cat, perhaps. But what if those items come with something more? A shadow that moves without light, a face that shows up in the photos you didn't take, a voice that only speaks when you're alone. Thrift stores, estate sales, garage finds, these are the forgotten graveyards of energy. You don't just buy objects here, you inherit stories. And sometimes, you bring those stories home. From haunted textiles to time-warping heirlooms, tonight we're opening the box on real-life tales of cursed items, chilling attachments, and ghostly encounters born from the shelves of your local Goodwill. These are stories you'll want to forget, but likely won't be able to. We'll see on the inside. And by we, I mean me. We're going to see how long it takes Christian to get here. Pew, 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 pew.
Bad science.
We'll see on the inside. I will see I will see you on the inside. Okay?
You are now entering the realm of the freaky deaky. An unsuspecting stop at the crossroads of fantasy and reality, where the frayed edges of make-believe seep into this cookie-cutter white picket world you've been led to believe is far from extraordinary. What you're about to hear are true stories.
Alleged true stories.
Christian, just... okay? Tales of the strange and inexplicable thought only to exist in film and folklore. Although difficult to accept, we do not know everything about this reality. About time or space, what lies beneath the ocean's depths. And try though we might, the unchanging truth remains. There are some things we legitimately cannot explain logically.
Folks, welcome back to the Freaky Deaky. It's your boy, Scott, alone in the studio with my thoughts. And today, as you kind of mentioned, as you kind of heard in that opening monologue, if you can call that an opening monologue, we are diving into some Goodwill ghosts that you will regret meeting. All right. These are people that have gone to thrift shops or garage sales or estate sales, whatever you want to call them, and they've brought home just a little something more than they bargained for. I don't know if that's ever been you, but if you have picked up a haunted item or whatever while you're out and about thrifting, you and Macklemore are hitting the mean streets of Seattle, thrifting your hearts out. Have you ever brought back a ghost? Something you can't really explain, or some kind of weird vibe that maybe you felt when you got back? Maybe a little ghost tickling your feet at night? You never know. Who's to really say? I can't say that I have personally because I don't really go garage sales or even Goodwill that much, but it would be my luck that I would bring back something haunted for sure. But if you have experienced that firsthand, please do remember to send that story into the gang at thefreakydeaky.com. You can find us all over social media at Freaky Deaky Pod. I got fresh merch up on the website. I'm talking, we got 5 sticker packs. Okay, we got new hoodies, new crew necks, new t-shirts, all right? Pretty much everything that I mentioned a couple weeks ago, but I literally just got done. I'm in the past, all right? I just got done designing and uploading everything, which is a nightmare and very time consuming. And I really, really, really wish we had some kind of production help when it comes to that stuff, especially. I can edit the podcast, I can do all that, but uploading listings to a website, good grief, shoot me. Honestly, shoot me right in the face. It's the worst. And maybe that's my ADHD that just gets, a little hot and bothered by that. Not even hot. It's not a sexual thing. It might be, actually. You know what? I'll save that for the therapist I don't have anymore. It's fine. Be sure to check out that merch, guys. All sticker sales, all profits from sticker sales go directly back into growing the show out. So if you are looking for ways to support the show, be sure to check out one of 5 dope sticker packs that are available now at thefreakydeaky.com. And you can also donate if you'd like, become a producer. Shout out to our producers. Thank you for keeping the show alive and well. Christian is still not here, which is why I'm rambling incoherently. I was hoping that he would arrive before I get into this first story, but it seems like he might not. So it's going to be you and me. It's going to be you and me, guys. We can do it. We don't need him, right? We don't need Christian. What is he? Oh, ghosts aren't real. Oh.
I wanted to think about my raw meat.
That wasn't the one I wanted, but
Bad science. A black.
even, why not? This is our show now. All right, ghosts are real. Demons do exist. And we're going to talk about them just a teensy tiny bit in this first story. Christian can catch up when he gets here. This first story is called The Ghoulish Gal of Goodwill. And it's by Chambers County, 12 tag. Very original name. Thank you. It says, please, no jokes. I am frightened and I am not a person who scares easily. Should I put something for Christian who would probably laugh right here?
A black.
Maybe I'll save the racist ones for later.
Bad science.
Well, ghosts aren't real or something. Yeah, you guys know him by now. Just picture what he'd say. It's fine. I live alone in solo backpack deep in the woods for fun. I sleep like a baby. Or I used to. Today I had one of the best days of my life. Things have really turned around for me and I was in a great mood. I love thrift shopping, so I decided to stop at Goodwill. While I was in the housewares aisle, I had the feeling that someone was watching me. I turned around and there was only one other person in the aisle at this very crowded Goodwill. She appeared to be between 18 and 25. She was very pale, with dark hair and dressed all in black. She didn't have anything in her hands. She was not holding a purse and she wasn't looking at anything except for me. Her eyes were incredibly dark. I was immediately uncomfortable. What, a goth girl's checking you out? You're uncomfortable? Get out of here. It's my favorite. Can I get a hell yeah from the audience? Hell yeah! That wasn't me. My first thought was, what is she doing here? She doesn't belong here. Then every cell in my body propelled me away from her at lightning speed. This is when the thing that really bothers me happened. I walked away from her with my cart, and then I turned my head and she was beside me, just across the aisle. It was like she had teleported. It scared the shit out of me, and I decided to leave. As I was going to leave this store, my niece and her family happened to walk in. I swear we don't have family reunions at the Goodwill. This was a day of such strange coincidences. Ha 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 ha. Just me and my family reuniting at the Goodwill, as is tradition. I spoke to them briefly, and then I left. The woman scared me, so I decided I wasn't going to think about it anymore. I went about the rest of my day like normal until about an hour ago, when my cell phone rang. It was my niece's husband, but the call would not connect. That's not super unusual because I live in the woods, so I tried to call him on my home phone. That wouldn't connect either, and that is unusual. That's when I received this text from him that said, hey, really odd I know, but do you remember a young woman dressed in black, emo style at the Goodwill today, maybe 18 to 25? I had chills all over as soon as I read that, and I was instantly, viscerally terrified. I knew that he had seen her too. I tried to call again, and this time the call went through. He had the same exact experience I had. The soulless yet soul-staring look, the teleporting, the dread and desire to get away from her. He's a fully grown adult man with a full-time job and a family, and he typically would not be afraid of a random woman at Goodwill. I feel like it's important to mention here that my niece never saw her and thought her husband was crazy until I confirmed the story. I don't know what I saw. I don't know why my niece's husband saw it too, but she didn't. I don't know why it frightened us both so badly. I shut all of my curtains and blinds, I locked all of my doors, I lit some candles and asked for protection. Yeah, that'll help. Not nary a word of Christ in any... No, I'm just kidding, guys. I'm not going to go to... It's fine. It's fine. Those who know, and those that don't are probably screaming at me for bringing it up. It's cool, guys. It's all good. Christian back. Well, actually, the pagans believed... And we don't have to deal with that right now because it's just us, you know? It's just you and me in this story. Let's continue. As for protection, I have been shaking. I am 50 years old, and I am scared. Wow. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Take your time. I'll be up all night. Update. I was not up all night. I lit white candles, salted my windowsill, said a prayer, and went to sleep. I still have no idea what actually happened yesterday, but I'm going to go back to not thinking about it. It didn't come home with me, and that is enough for me. I also remembered another strange experience I had several years ago. I was in an antique store when I turned the corner and I saw a man that I instinctually felt was a ghost. Ooh. I walked straight to the cash register at the front and asked the man if they had a ghost in the store. I thought he was going to laugh at me, but instead he yelled to the woman in the back, Marie! That ghost is out here bothering people again. Classic stuff. Well, I would ask Christian what he thinks about it. Christian, you got anything to say?
A black.
Wow, highly racist. Let's move on. What about you folks at home? I have no one to discuss this with, so I just have to hope and pray that you comment your thoughts on that story. I had seen several people mentioning that it could have just been a random person. Drugs could have been involved. Could have been just a crazy goth girl. Hey, and spoiler alert, sometimes people just do weird things to strangers in public, like stare at them to make them uncomfortable. Now, I'm not saying that's what happened here, as it's also kind of weird. Oh, hey, look who's here. Look who has joined the show. It's Christian. It is also kind of weird. People would do that in general, but yeah, that's a bunch of stuff that is yours that needs to be taken out of here at some point. You can have that light too if you want to put it in the office at your house. That sound you heard was Christian's butt rubbing up against his microphone. Yeah, so I'm not putting it past random people doing this type of stuff, Oh, very nice. He brought goodies. All is forgiven. Sometimes people do weird things to strangers, all right? And in a Goodwill, no less, yeah, you would expect nothing less. So it could have just been a random emo or goth girl. You never truly know. I have no idea, but it does sound a little creepy, which is why you guys need to chime in your thoughts on that as well. And now that Christian's here, he's going to get to hear the rest of the stories. Isn't that a treat?
A black.
In 10 to 15 minutes. Wow. Welcome, Christian.
Hello.
Since you weren't here for the introduction 15 minutes ago, we are talking about Goodwill ghosts. Not Goodwill like, yes, and Goodwill towards men, but like thrift stores. Thrift stores, estate sales, garage sales, type of stuff you bring back some hauntings that maybe you weren't expecting.
Is the soundtrack Macklemore?
I did mention Macklemore early on.
Okay.
So it seems like you're already ready. And that's fine. I guess I'll just get into this next story now that Christian has joined us. You missed one story, Christian, and it's good because it's a story you probably would have just made fun of. So it's good for me to be able to actually get it out without the interruptions constantly,
I didn't believe in that story anyway.
This next story is called The Silk Shawl, and it's by Crafty Shape 2743. It says, here's a haunted thrift store item. I was at a Salvation Army thrift store standing in line. I felt drawn to something in the jewelry antique display about 12 feet away. I left my place in line and went over. I immediately knew what drew me. It was a very large black silk shawl,
A black.
with very deep fringe. I asked to see it. When I touched it, the grief and despair overwhelmed me. It felt like a mother's grief. It was a mourning shawl from the 19th century. It was in perfect condition, obviously packed away very carefully all these years.
Mourning like...
M-O-U-R, yeah.
Okay.
Like you're sad. I was afraid it would be bought for a costume. It needed respect, so I bought it and brought it home. The grief was quiet, but it was like a dark cloud hanging over our home. I have a collection of boxes, so I picked out one that I felt represented a dignified place for the shawl and its pain. It's not antique, but a box of cherry wood, handcrafted by a woman artist. Very important. The despair lessened, but it was still present. Come forward several years, my beautiful mother-in-law came to live with us. She had many family photos going back generations that she was going through. One of the photos greatly disturbed her. It was a post-mortem photograph of her great-aunt's baby. Ugh. She asked me what she should do with it. She wanted to throw it away. I told her I knew exactly what to do with it and explained to her about the shawl. She knew me well enough and had experienced enough in her own life to not question it. Or she just thought I was weird enough. Like, yeah, okay, I guess put the dead baby photo in the shawl if that's what you must do.
That's weird.
That is a little weird. And we agree on that. She felt that was a good place for it to be. I'm sure she did. So I placed the photo with the shawl in the box. We have a family graveyard, and eventually that's where I'll bury the box.
I have a really good box.
Beautiful. Those don't work out very often, but this time it did. There wasn't an immediate change, but now, almost 4 years later, I'm no longer feeling the energy or grief from the shawl.
They moved on.
Yeah, they're like, why'd you put a baby photo that's not even my baby in my shawl? I'm getting out of here. It's getting weird.
People are weird with their vibrations and beliefs. Bad science.
And they're bad science.
I would have used a bad name and gone bad religion or something, but a black.
It's fine. You ever go thrift shopping, Christian?
Not in a while.
You ever bring home something that was a little spooky?
Not from a thrift shop.
A night in Vegas?
No.
No.
No, I avoided that kind of stuff in Vegas because Peaches was scary.
Well, that makes one of us. It's fine. It was a simpler time.
It was.
Well, I feel like you have nothing else to say about that.
No.
So we will move on to the woman in the photo. And it's by Jamie Fensty. Says, I used to thrift antique photos. That's always a weird thing to do. I've never understood people that go just like, oh, what a vintage photo. Like no one that you know, just a random old looking photo at an antique store. No, thank you.
I like old photos, but I also like to know if that person's related to me.
Yeah, I don't want just some random old person in my house. For this reason, probably. I felt drawn to one with a girl sitting outside with short hair and a hat. It was circa 1930s. I bought it, took it home, and not long after began to see her and feel her presence around my house. She would stand outside of my room and stare, and when I left my room, she'd follow me around. Later, I was with a friend who had some medium skills. Hell yeah.
I like the elite skills more than medium, though.
Yeah. Medium skills are so mid, you know? Is mid still a thing? That's fine. Who I hadn't told about the woman, and he out of the blue looked at me with wide eyes and told me I had a woman attached to me. Short hair and a hat, circa 1930s.
That sounds amazing.
As soon as I got home, yeah, it's a girl. I think, I don't know if it's a woman, so.
Well, I mean, when you're not attached, it's always nice to be attached to someone. In my case, a woman.
Nice save. As soon as I got home, I carefully disposed of the photo and the woman disappeared. Spooks me to this day. What I don't really understand about that is that when you brought the photo home, you said she stood outside your door and stared at you. And when you left your room, she kind of followed you around, like probably just peeking from corners or whatever. Why was that not freaky? And it's only freaky when your medium friend is like, oh my goodness, you have a woman here. Doesn't it seem like seeing the actual entity would be kind of spooky?
Maybe they didn't believe what they were seeing until the medium, who probably heard the story from them, just embellished it and said, oh yeah, there's a woman attached to you because you told me everything about this photo and that you saw something. So if I say there's a woman attached to you, I'm right.
My favorite thing that you do on this podcast is that you embellish stories to be less believable. You'll be like, you'll hear a story and then you'll be like, yeah, you probably heard the story from her already though. Like, even though there's no mention, this friend just came over and happened to look at her and be like, oh, there's like a woman here or something. You know, but in your mind, you're like, no, he definitely heard the story from her beforehand because you need that gotcha moment of ghosts aren't real.
Well, in this case, since it was a medium friend.
You prefer it to be a large friend.
Yeah.
In this economy?
But, you know, I am kind of adding some to the story. But a lot of times the people that claim to be mediums do pull from like the little information you give them or the way you react to certain things.
Sure.
And I've met people that seem to have those skills legitimately, and I can't explain them, but we all know like Sylvia Brown and what John Edwards were frauds.
Yeah, that's entirely different though. Like I think we're talking about someone that isn't a medium, but has like, you know, the touch or whatever, this is a great opportunity for me to, you know how I tell you that I can see the future? But it's always in such brief increments that it's not even like worthwhile. I mean, it's kind of helpful, I guess, but it happened again. And since we didn't record last week, I was like, damn, I'm going to forget to talk about this. And now we're talking about mediums. I can kind of bring it up. It happened while I was driving down Parks Highway, right?
Right.
You know, the intersection right there, you got Burger King on one side, you got that gas station and Fred Meyer on the other.
Yeah.
Well, at that stoplight, there's a woman at the corner that's ironically next to the Goodwill. And she is holding out like a box of things, right? And I see her from like 500, 600 feet away as I'm driving towards this light. And in my head, it's like, wouldn't it be so weird if she just jumps out in front of your car? I'm like, why would she do that? Why would she do that? Obviously, right? I kid you not, as I'm like passing the intersection, she starts running across the street with all of her stuff. Like I almost barreled right into her.
Maybe you sent a suggestion and she just went with it.
No. Nah, dude, it's so weird like that. It's always these random one-off situations where a thought will just pop in my head and 5 seconds later it happens. And it's never something that should happen. It always feels like a weird intrusive thought where it's like, why would anyone think that? And then it happens.
See, I on stuff like that, I believe that's possible. It's, you know, I may not believe in demons, but I believe we can get glimpses of the future a little bit. Unfortunately, we're not usually able to interpret it or understand it or
Sure.
gain from it. It's like,
It's just happened far too often in my life. And it's always the most mundane thing. And it's always 10 seconds before it actually happens. It'll pop into my head. And I'll be like, huh, weird. Wonder why I thought that. And then a woman with a bunch of stuff in her arms is running across the street. And I have to, I'm like, did she want me to hit her?
the guardian angel giving you a little bit of heads up, or your mind's connected on a level to keep you from running her over.
What's really weird on maybe the brain aspect of it is if there was like even just the slightest tell or something like that in her behavior where I'm like, she looks antsy or she looks like she's about to jump, like where it's just something that in an instant I was able to look and be like, that's not someone that's standing still,
Maybe your consciousness connected. Unfortunately
with a crazy person.
Well, that's how it usually
she
happens.
was looking down the street, like right before she ran out, she's like looking. I'm like, bitch, I know you see my car coming at you. It's broad daylight. It's the summer,
Yeah.
But what can you do? You can't run them over, even though you might be inclined.
You could.
I'd say, well, technically I had the right of way.
It's a lot of paperwork, though.
If they catch you. Well, there's street, the cameras.
They always catch you.
And there's the cameras and whatnot, so you can't really escape that.
Multiple witnesses.
And it's not very Christ-like, it turns out, to run people over in the street.
I mean, depends on which part of the world you live in.
No, I think pretty much all over the place it's
You would think so.
frowned upon. Unless, of course, there's like protesters and you're like, okay, assholes, get out of my way. And then you just run them over.
It's still wrong to run them over.
Nah, it's even better if it's, because then you're like, you're choosing this. You're inconveniencing me because you like trees or something. And that's not cool,
Nah, man.
That ain't right, bro. And I get to run you over.
Trees are evil.
M. Night Shyamalan thought so. Anyway, let's get into Cats and Cupcakes, shall we? This is by Marco Polonia.
I feel like you should have said that last name better.
Polonia. I was trying to say Polo because that's the first part of that last name.
Yeah. No hand gestures for the Italian names?
Nope, not in this America. Anyway, a few months ago, I bought 2 small items at a Goodwill. A cat figurine and a cupcake tower. Innocuous, innocent looking. Over the next few days, husband and I hear dishes falling inside our kitchen cabinets. When we open the door, everything was fine. We're watching TV with mom, and my husband hears the doorbell. He checks, and no one is there. This happens again over the next few days. Mom and I do not hear the doorbell ring either time. Next, we both have money missing from our wallets. The sound of doors opening and closing. The last straw was when we were out at dinner. Mom calls to say she smells something burning, and she hears alarms. So we rush home. On the way, we get text from our security system saying the bedroom window has been breached. I'm frantic about my 92-year-old mom's safety. When we get home, nothing is burning, no smell. Windows are all closed. We called the security company, which has no record of a security breach or system failure at our property. I said, that's it. And then turns out mom had a stroke. No, I'm just kidding. Smelled burning. Guys, it's fine. All right, this is a funny show. We make jokes.
That's an aneurysm.
Are you sure? I thought that was a stroke. You smell burning toast or something.
I've heard burning toast. I've heard burnt like straw or cherries.
Strawberries. Cherries. Weird.
I mean, maybe you can smell burning toast when you have a stroke, but I don't know. Your brain's frying. Maybe
someone's going to Google that and let us know in the comments. I wrapped the 2 items in a Catholic light newspaper and told my husband to take them to the trash bin outside. He said, BS, I'm driving them to the dump downtown. My house has been quiet ever since. The 2 items were the only things new to the house, so I felt strongly that there was a connection. I won't buy anything at Goodwill again. She says to edit, I should say this all happened in a 2-week span. You don't have to say that, but it's fine. Thanks for the update.
So what this person did was they took somebody's spiritual connection to the world and took it to the dump.
Yes.
Cruel.
As you should do if something is... that's very trickster-esque at that point, if it's making sounds, it's doing all the poltergeist stuff where you knock everything out of the dishwasher or the shelves and then you check and everything's fine. Got the alarm sounding, the alarm trigger like on your phone saying, hey, someone's in your house pretty much. You get home and nothing is out of the ordinary.
I feel...
that's pretty weird, man. I don't know.
It is weird, but I also feel like that's some bad karma. You should maybe treat the Goodwill stuff like maybe a Ouija board.
Just throw it away.
Well, I mean...
just say goodbye.
We don't
leave it alone.
We've talked about Ouija boards and we don't just throw them away.
Well, we don't, because we don't play with them. So, but other people seem to do all kinds of weird stuff with them, you know?
I would totally play with the Ouija board if it was real.
If it was real?
Yeah. If it actually did stuff other than...
Oh, well then, I've got some great news for you, Christian. But you don't need to be messing with any of that stuff. Last thing you need is to find out that everything supernatural is actually real because of your own, stubbornness.
Well, also, if I wanted to ask something that questions, I could just use AI at this point. Definitely demons.
Yeah. There is some theories out there that AI could be used for demonic purposes.
I don't know, man.
Got my technology shell. Now I give you answers and I'm the devil. Who knows, honestly? It'd be an interesting movie.
I'm sure it's already been done at least once or twice.
No, they're probably working on the 50th remake of Aladdin or something like that,
Or...
Unique ideas are a foreign concept to Hollywood at this point in time.
Well, it's because people don't want to go to the movies to watch a unique idea for the most part anymore.
Well, people don't want to go watch every ethnicity under the sun play a superhero either, but
I disagree.
Nobody seems to get that memo.
I'm pretty sure you're wrong there.
I'm pretty sure it's hella racist of Marvel and Disney to make a black Iron Man that as soon as she gets powers goes and steals. Pretty little racy, don't you think?
Have you even watched that?
Sure. Yeah, I watched it all. It's my favorite.
He's a damn liar.
It's my favorite show. I love all the absolute nonsense slop that Marvel and Disney have been cooking up.
Actually, that one...
Oh, let's hear it. Let's hear it, Christian.
The one you're talking about, I believe, is Ironheart.
Mm-hmm.
I think the devil's going to be in that one. Well, Marvel's version of the devil, which is Mephisto.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't finished the series yet, folks. So
yeah, and everyone's pissed because they're like, oh, we've been asking for Mephisto for a long time, and then you put it in this bullshit, in this stupid-ass story?
I don't think there's a major appearance since it's played by Borat, Sacha Baron Cohen.
I'm aware of who Borat is, yes. Yeah. Why would he play Mephisto?
I mean, it seems like right up his alley, I guess. I don't know much about Mephisto. I don't read the comic books.
Stop lying. It's fine.
I don't even read regular books lately.
I don't even know how to read. Damn it. Now my secret's out there, everyone.
Also, Riri Williams. That's her origin story in the comics, too. So we have to blame Stan Lee many years ago, and he's dead.
So we can blame him. Oh, he's white, too. We can blame him for just about anything.
I mean, you can.
He's a cis white male Christian. Open range.
I don't care. Be what you want to be.
What if I wanted to be wildly too racist on a spooky ghost podcast?
I mean, that's allowed.
Black. Yeah, it's fine. It's not even racism. My son is 1/50th black or something. What's the logistics of that? Like
I don't know.
1/8 maybe? 1/16?
Probably won't. I don't know. Something like that.
We'll see how he does with basketball. He does love basketball, let's be honest. And he's a fan of watermelon.
But he can't tan very well.
Yeah, he's got to work on that for sure. It's fine. He's not a big chicken fan either, but we'll get him there. We'll get him there. Christian, it only works if you also laugh with the racism. If not, I'm just a racist white guy on a podcast, you know?
That's why I didn't laugh.
Turning around on me. Beautiful. Anyway, this next one is the witch psychic medium weighs in. When we've all been waiting for it, I could feel the vibe from the future.
Witches aren't real.
Uh-oh. No, actually, you can't say that because you believe witches are real. You just don't believe the things they practice are real.
I don't believe in magic.
Do you believe in? No, it's fine. The opposite of that song. It's cool. This is by Lisa Sourbrine. Sourbrine. That is a witch name. I'm Lisa Sourbrine.
She sounds salty.
She's a little salty. She says, I purposely seek out haunted items at Goodwill and thrift shops. Of course you do, Lisa. Of course you do. As a witch medium psychic. Wow. Yeah, self-proclaimed. She didn't mention self-proclaimed, but I'll throw it in there. Let me explain. I teach on my YouTube channel. Spirits and ghosts are different. A spirit is a loved one who is the light. A ghost is evil and torment the person who purchased it, etc.
That sounds...
Made up for a YouTube channel? Yeah,
yes.
Kind of. Now I go on Spite, and I'm dealing with a ghost male who came with this grandfatherly clock I bought. He's fucking annoying all night, whistles in my ear, and laughs. Your best bet is to sage and wash with Florida water.
What?
Florida water? That's got to be a typo, right? Maybe, is it fluoride water? Are we dentists now?
So tap water.
Florida water, I guess. Well,
I mean, maybe
wash her with Florida water.
the self-proclamation of what her skills makes me believe it might be Florida.
It might be Florida. Yeah, she's making shit up as she goes. Yeah, yeah, get a bottle of Florida water too. Maybe some Florida orange juice. Mix it together. Water it down.
Get your vitamin C.
That is true. Anyway, however, I see this being and bringing major problems. Lady with the High Priestess Spellcaster is my name on YouTube if you would like to lock me up.
I'm so locking that up.
Yeah, if you would like to look me up, I can further help you. Blessed be. Wow.
What was her name?
This is, I feel bad for mentioning it because I don't want people to, like our listener base, to just inundate her with 3 comments on her YouTube channel. But it's, let's see.
You can always bleep out part of the name, and then if somebody wants it, we can send it to
I'll
them.
just cut this part out. It's Lady with the High Priestess Spellcaster.
What?
Lady with the High Priestess Spellcaster is my name on YouTube. Weird. That's a long ass title. Lady with yeah, I'm not finding her. So probably for the best, you know?
This person maybe should have been in our, what was the mental one we just did?
The mental one?
Yeah.
Have we done a mental one?
Yeah. The, not bipolar, schizophrenia.
The mental one. Yeah, that's a loving term for it, Christian. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't see her either.
Thankfully on that one. Don't worry, folks. You're not going to find her. We can find her.
The Florida water got her.
The Florida water got her.
Or the gators while she was collecting it.
Hey, why not? Why not? Weird. Yeah, that sounds like a lot of made up stuff.
Grandfatherly clock.
The grandfatherly clock. Yeah. Yeah, I should have really proof or like edited the English section of it, because a lot of the times I do that with stories where I'm like, this is going to read horribly. I have to clean this up. And I mark it with like a C- or something while I do it to be like, if I was grading you, if I was an English teacher, this is what you get. But I didn't do it on this one. And that tells because I had a very difficult time reading that, which checks out based on just her personality alone. And I know I shouldn't judge, but here I am judging. It's fine. You know,
I'm not judging, but whether it was Florida water or fluoride water, that makes no sense. I was thinking it should be moon water or something like that. If you're trying to be witchy.
You would think, yeah. We need water from the half moon. Why? I don't know, because it sounds cool, Greg. All right, just keep up. Let's see. I'm going to get into this next one. We'll see how it does. I was leery putting this one in because it has some wild stuff that seems, even to me, a little sus, you know, if I can say that. But it was written by an old man, and old people are supposed to be trustworthy, so we'll see. We'll see about that.
I feel like that has been disproven many a times through the millennia.
Okie dokie. It's called The Occult Rubik's Cube. And in parentheses, I have probably fake. By Ken Mason. Says this happened in the early 80s. I was living in Santa Clara, California at the time, and I went to an estate sale I read about on Craigslist that said it had antiques. Wait a second. Early 80s Craigslist. No fucking way. Right? Just that alone means it's got to be fake.
If it's early 80s, for sure, unless that...
I mean, when was Craigslist? I know it wasn't in the early 80s.
Unless Craigslist started as in newspapers.
Let's see. Craigslist origin. Craigslist originated in 1995 as an email distribution list created by Craig Newmark to share San Francisco Bay Area events with friends. It evolved into a website in 1996, expanding to other classified ad categories and eventually to cities across the U.S. and Canada. 1995. No damn way, Ken Mason, you liar. I'm not reading it. This episode's going to be a little shorter now because I decided not to read that, but it's fine. It's fine, guys. I can't just... Like, it was an interesting story, but even I was sure that it was nonsense because of how wild it was. You know, he goes to an estate sale, pretty much finds these Estonian people that have like a occult looking thing. And they're like, oh, no, you don't want to buy that. Trust me. And like, well, and he's like, I like to collect weird things. You know, how much? I'll give you. And they're like, how much? Or he was like, I'll give you $500 or something like that. And they're like, okay, deal. You know, give it to him. He takes it home. It's got these glowing kind of sigils on it. And he leaves it in his garage while he goes up to, I think he was cooking some food or something like that. He goes in the kitchen, hears this loud bang, goes down to the garage, and everything in his garage is gone. Like appliances, everything is gone, even according to him, the dust, right? So he goes back to these old people, and turns out all of his stuff was in their garage now because of the cursed Rubik's Cube thing. And I was like, this is an absolutely bonkers story, but I was intrigued by it. And I didn't catch the Craigslist thing. And now that I saw that first sentence, I should have been like, that should have been the first red flag, was like early 80s and Craigslist. What are you talking about, dude? The internet wasn't even around.
Well, then they went, like, he tried to make it sound like he went to an estate sale by gypsies because he used Eastern European,
that's
Estonia.
Exactly what it was. Yeah, it was pretty much the gypsies cursed him.
Yeah.
You know, and I fell for it. The gypsies cursed me too. Damn it. That happens sometimes. I'm glad I was able to catch it, because if I didn't catch it there and we read through the whole thing, and then someone would be like, Scott, Craigslist wasn't around in the 80s. And I'm like, damn it, how did I miss that? But I didn't. I caught it.
Internet wasn't around in the 80s.
Early 80s, yeah. Classic stuff. It's fine. We got one more story then. And it's called Thanks for the Afghan, Mrs. Doubtfire. That's by Tortuga 456.
Mrs. Doubtfire gave somebody an Afghani?
Not an Afghani. An Afghan.
Okay.
Which, you know what an Afghan is. I don't have to. You're being facetious.
Yes.
That's fine. Tortuga 456, or for our English listeners, Turtle 456. Says, I also had an experience once where a spirit followed me home from an estate sale. I bought a few things at the sale, including a hand-crocheted Afghan and some of the women's knitting needles and knitting magazines. People at the estate sale were remarking that they felt a spirit in the house of the sale, especially in the bathroom. I've left a few spirits in the bathroom myself. There was a young boy who could really feel it. That young boy was me once upon a time. It's fun. I actually didn't feel anything at the sale, ironically, but after I got home, and for the next few weeks, she was in the house with us. My husband and I both felt her very strongly. One time, we were both standing in the living room, and she walked between us. I couldn't see her, but I could feel the shape of her as she walked by. Oh, yeah. I feel your shape, Mrs. Doubtfire. It's bulbous. Anyway, we both knew that she was an older woman. Then one night I had a vision of her in a portrait. She looked kind of like Mrs. Doubtfire. She had a large white or blonde hairdo and was wearing a cardigan. She looks like someone's nice grandmother. The only strange thing was that she had something attached to her that was keeping her from crossing over. What I did was started blasting her with light. Yeah, you like that? You like when I blast you with light? I feel like this freed her up from the attachment and allowed her to cross over. I also mentally thanked her for the Afghan, which is very pretty, and I really enjoy having it. I know how much work goes into one of these. I don't know why she followed me home out of all the people at that estate sale, except maybe she knew that I could help her. I've helped a few people cross over, so this wasn't my first rodeo. How? And this is a question for the people out there, because I know we have listeners that help people cross over. I don't even have to know who they are, just know they exist in the world around me. Someone explain that to me. Explain to me how you help a spirit cross over to the other side. I've seen the movies. You know, I've seen you got to go to the light, to the light, to the light, to the light. But like, I can't picture just someone in a house and like a ghost walks in and they're like, oh, no, you're in the wrong spot here. Allow me. I work at Walgreens. I know how to help you through to the other side. You know, it just seems weird, doesn't it?
It does.
And it seems probably more weird to you because you don't even believe in ghosts. So you believe these people are crazy just talking to the air, being like, I've helped you pass on to the spiritual realm.
I can imagine the other person being like, I'm not in the spiritual realm.
I just had to get away from you. You're weird.
Yeah. I'm part of your realm. I'm just wandering and you don't want me here.
Really good box.
So I'm leaving.
Yeah.
I'm going back.
Do you think maybe the spirits like pretend like they're crossing over so that person feels good about themselves? Be like, oh, you helped me pass on.
Maybe that's what some of them do. They just walk around until somebody's like, I can help you cross over. And then they get brownie points for when they pass on.
I could see that.
But it's all fake. The ghost is just
The crossing over thing has always been weird to me. It always felt like some kind of weird dramatic angle that like ghost adventure TV shows do, where they're like, no, we brought in a medium to help this spirit pass on. It no longer has to walk this cold hallway. It can actually go and walk the cold hallway in the sky.
After they go up all those steps.
That might be time consuming. Yeah, we didn't even think about that.
Maybe that's why they don't want to cross over. They're like, it's too hard, too many steps.
Yeah, can't have that. Who's to say, really? I don't know. That's an interesting story. But yeah, and I guess what is the funniest image for me is that you have this like old lady at an estate sale picking up Afghans and knitting needles and whatnot, who also in her downtime just helps spirits pass on to the other side, you know?
Sounds like something Miss Doubtfire would do.
Kind of. Yeah, the sequel. Yeah. The straight to VHS sequel of Mrs. Doubtfire. Spirits never stood a chance.
Whoopi Goldberg.
Wow. No,
as
the worst.
The ghost whisperer.
Ugh, don't even say her name. What a fall from grace.
I
Whoopi.
mean, she's a good actress.
She was. Now she's not an actress. She's just a fucking weird talking head lady.
I mean, anybody on any show where they talk to you about...
Daytime shows are just the absolute worst. And The View is up there with the worst of the worst.
Yeah.
Can you imagine anything worse than a bunch of old ladies just cackling for an hour about things they don't understand?
Hannity and Colmes.
Yeah, those are a couple of dudes cackling for an hour about stuff that they don't understand either. If anything, if you sit down and think about it, Christian, this show is the paranormal version of Hannity and Colmes.
Not really.
It really is. It really is.
Yeah, but we're not like trying to brainwash people. So
speak for yourself. I've washed many brains. I've helped a few brains cross over to the wash station.
You might be a serial killer.
Yeah. That does happen sometimes with me, it turns out. Christian, I'm going to let you talk to the people alone while I go to the bathroom.
What do I say? I'm going to tell you whatever stories Scott told about me being late. I get Friday nights off so we can record. Because it's a great night to record. But we don't do recordings on Friday nights anymore. So today threw me off. And I got every damn stoplight on the way. But you don't care about that. I don't know what to say. First time ever. I need a face in front of me to talk.
Christian, I feel like you weren't really talking to the people alone.
I wasn't. I was not prepared. And it's early for me still.
This is how you prepare for your own solo show, Christian, is by talking into the nothingness around you.
Yeah, but then I'd be a little bit more prepared.
Yeah, we can't have that. Anyway, since I had to ditch that one story, that's pretty much all I got. I actually expected this, because that story was a lot longer, I expected this episode to be a lot longer. And then I found out the guy was a liar, for sure. So, not going to give him the airtime. That's unfortunate. Lost a lot of faith in old people today.
I lost that a long time ago.
Yeah. So, do you have any thoughts about ghosts? While Goodwill shopping, let's keep it within the subject.
Yeah, thrift store shopping for like that one person. I go there for haunted items.
Yeah, I guess I understand if you're specifically looking for haunted things. You know, what better place to go than like Goodwill or one of those places? But I don't know.
A lot of people get good stuff from Goodwill and places like that. I'm just not patient enough to go there and shop around till I find something good.
Well, I had a guerrilla marketing tactic that I was planning on using at the Goodwill. And that's, you know, how I constantly order new podcast merch and stuff to test out items before I list them on the website to make sure they're quality. China's not really a big fan of me having 5,000 items of clothing in my closet. I don't know how that concerns her, but it's a different story. And so when I go through some of these items, I'm thinking that just the ones that I don't wear as much anymore, just take them to Goodwill and then force people to wear our podcast merch. You know what I mean? I sell it at Goodwill. They're like, oh, I found this cool ghost shirt for 13 cents. Little do they know, we're still around and we're still kicking.
And it's haunted.
And it's haunted. Not by spirits or anything, but smells mainly. Probably a lot of smells. That's fine.
You are kind of smelly.
I can be kind of smelly. That's what happens when you produce 15 different shows and work a full-time job and chase a toddler. You get sweaty and a little stinky. And tired, turns out. But that's fine. I'm not trying to impress any of you. I'm just here for ghost stories. Okay? Was waiting for a response from everyone, but it's fine. My ego can take the hit. Folks, I know that this is going to upset many people, that this episode is closing out before the hour has passed, and I'm okay with that. Melanie, apologies. We can blame Ken Mason. He's an old man that I found on the internet, and he led me astray.
He's playing an old man on the internet.
His picture was old. And it looked like a candid photo. It didn't look like something he found on the internet to use as Ken Mason. It looked like someone took a oops-a-daisy picture of Ken Mason. He's like, well, that actually looks kind of good.
It was probably a 13-year-old that stole somebody's Facebook picture.
Wow.
Because Ken Mason, if he was old, would know that Craigslist was not an internet thing back there. Like I said, if he's from the Bay Area, maybe it was classified in the newspaper before that. I've never heard that. What you read didn't say anything about that, so I don't know.
It literally said that it started in 1995. And maybe, Ken Mason had just a oops-a-daisy. Turns out I meant the 90s. Maybe I meant the early 90s.
Yeah.
But that's too late. That's too little too late for you, Ken, right? No podcast for you.
Well, if you're going to lie about Craigslist being around in the early 80s, you're going to lie about
a Rubik's Cube.
Yeah.
From Estonians.
Yeah. I mean, you should have just come up with the box from Hellraiser. It would have been somewhat believable.
Or the Dybbuk box from Jewish cultures, Or... What was that movie? Do you remember the Dybbuk box movie?
No.
God, that was such a good movie. That was so creepy. What was it called? The Possession, maybe? I don't know.
No clue.
I don't know. But that's all I got. And we have one more episode to record for TFD the musical before my wife has to get her nails done. So we got to close her out here. I would love to sit and chat with you guys for another 50 minutes about Ken Mason and the do's and don'ts of online storytelling, but I unfortunately do not have that time. Perhaps next week here on the Frinkity Dinkity. Guys, remember to check out the website, buy some of that merch. I spent probably 45 hours uploading just those listings, repeating because I have to type every single tag by hand. I can't copy and paste Squarespace. Make it easier, Make it easier. Make it time efficient. Unlike me closing out this episode. It's fine. Guys, sticker packs are available. New merch is available. Subscribe. YouTube lurkers. A lot of you that listen to this show aren't even subscribed to it. Please do us a favor. Hit that subscribe button. You can mute us if you want. That's fine too. Just hit the subscribe button so it looks like we're more popular than we really are. And that's fine. Guys, Christian has something to say before we close it.
Hurry up. I got to do business. Think about my raw meat.
Okay, that's a weird thing to do business. You have to go potty?
Yes.
Okay, you can go potty. We're done. We'll see you next week, folks, here on the Frinkity Dinkity.
I have a really good box.
Goodbye.
Hey, Ken Mason, why'd you have to go and spin us all a yarn? You know damn well Craigslist wasn't around in the 80s. Search your heart. Now Melanie is gonna be very sad. Our 8 listeners may even tell my dad, and that'd be a confusing and disappointing thing for him to hear. So hey, Ken Mason, you ruined our life, and this is not being dramatic. You need to apologize for this wrong that you've done. Our friends are disappointed, and when placing blame, you are the only one. Definitely don't blame Scott for not catching it sooner. Only blame Ken Mason. Ken Mason. Ken Mason.
Why'd you have to go and spin us all a yarn? You know damn well Craigslist wasn't around in the 80s. Search your heart. Now Melanie is going to be very sad. Our 8 listeners may even tell my dad. And that'd be a confusing, disappointing thing for him to hear. Oh. So hey, can my son, you ruined our life and this is not being dramatic. You need to apologize for this wrong that you've done. Our friends are disappointed, and when placing blame, you are the only